Good morning and welcome to the Piccalilli Inn Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. It's NFL Week 2 and we are ready to roll. I'm your host, Matt Lowry, and alongside me, our 25-year fantasy football veterans, Henry the Commish Brick and Professor Steve Wynn. What a jam-packed show we got in store for you today. We're going to cover news and injuries around the NFL, and hey, there's a lot of them after Week 1. Our Week 2 starts, the studs, duds, and sleepers, and a little contest for our listeners called Beat the Commish.
Oh, yeah.
And I will say I did beat you. I whooped you like a redheaded stepchild. All right, and the lines are open at 609-573-3776. That's 609-573-ESPN. Call in. We'll help you with your last-minute lineups, because there's a lot of stuff to go over. First off, Commish, how'd you do in the contest?
Man, I wanted to give our listeners a head start, so I really laid back, giving everyone a fair shot at the money. This week, however, a whole different story.
Yeah, Matt, don't believe that. You romped all over the commish. I was going to suggest he change his team name to the Whitney Houstons. He got beat so bad. So, but I decided we're going to go with a Tyson quote here. Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, Commish.
Oh.
I do have to say, Commish, man, you were awful. That had
It's all part of the plan. Just luring people in, okay? The flies to a light.
Yeah, okay. All right. Professor, great job with calling out QBs last week, Cutler, Flacco, and RG3.
You know what? It was a very good day at the office for my quarterback pick. Solid upside all around, but my top Piccalilli pick of the week was undoubtedly Redskins running back Alfred Morris. He ran with authority, posted up 2 touchdowns Sunday. Alfred, it was nice knowing you, but with Shanahan, I'm afraid you're going to get cut next week, so say hi to Batman for me.
All right. Remember, you can get all this great advice and more from Professor Watt right on our website. It is www.kickassfantasyfootball.com. And if you need to know who to throw into your lineups this week, again, give us a call, 609-573-3776. Now, guys, before we get into the news and injuries, we are in 2 leagues together. And I think we got to discuss that a bit, let our listeners know how we did. In the first league, which is a big money league that we're all in, the commission and I are partnered up, and we're in the same division as you, Professor.
Yes, sure.
How'd you do this week?
I took a loss to Nate Kading's 5 field goal performance on Monday night, so I can weather that loss.
You lost to a kicker. That's a shame. I really feel bad.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
Commissioner, remind me again, how did we do in that league?
We, of course, were not only one, Matt, we were the top scoring team in our league. So, once again, we find ourselves ahead of the professor in the big money league.
And then in the second league we're in, though, Professor, you did do better in that one, in our staff league.
That would be our experts league,
yes,
among our fantasy football professionals on our show.
That's correct. And how'd you do on that one?
I was the league high scorer in the expert league.
A blind squirrel finds it out every once in a while. Great job, Professor.
And but all 3 of us, I believe, got wins in that league, correct?
Yes, they did. Well, I don't know. Did the commish get a victory?
We did get a victory. We handily beat our opponent. It was, I believe, JB from our Wednesday night Blog Talk show on Blog Talk Radio.
Well, and I took the second highest score, and you were the highest score.
Matt's team was solid.
So I believe all we can definitively say after Week 1 is I'm the best fantasy player, because I have not only 2 wins, but if you combine the points, the 2 highest scoring offenses out of it.
Nice.
There you go.
All right. Before we get into injuries and the news around the NFL, let's go to the phone lines. We got Bill from Northfield on the phone. Bill, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Listen, I got a question about starting lineups this morning. I have Pierre Garçon, so I need to make an injury replacement, because all the talk is that he's probably not going to play today. So my choices are, in a standard yardage performance league, is Brandon LaFell and Brandon Lloyd. Which one would you go with?
Brandon Lloyd in a second.
Well, you know what? Between the 2, you got to go Lloyd here. You got Tom Brady throwing him the ball. He's definitely the guy being targeted a lot more. You see what happened compared to Wes Welker last week. Lloyd's definitely your guy.
All right, great. Thanks a lot, fellas.
All right, thanks a lot. A good problem to have, though, to have those 2 guys to plug in.
Certainly nothing to sneeze at.
No, but, we have both of those guys in our picks of the week later. They're both solid.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. We got Jeff from Northfield on the phone. Jeff, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, how you doing? Good morning.
Morning.
All right, good morning. What do you got for us?
Well, kind of in the same boat Bill is. I've got Pierre Garcon. I'm probably going to have him on my bench.
Right.
My depth isn't as good as his. I have got Darius Hayward Bay. I believe he's at Miami. And I picked up Dexter McCluster. I don't know how Kansas City's going to use him, but I think he's at Buffalo today. It's a non-PPR league, so I'm just looking for someone to score a touchdown. Who do you think I'm better off going with?
Yeah, I like DHB here. He was actually one of the most targeted receivers on the Raiders last week. He's definitely the go-to guy there. So between the two, that's the guy I'd go with.
Yeah, got to agree. In a PPR league, I'd flip to McCluster, but straight up, Darius Hayward Bay is the play.
All right.
Cool. Thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it.
Yep, I think we're going to get a lot of those Garcon calls because after such a great week one, I think everyone was banking on him playing. And, if you look back through him, he has a hard time bouncing back from those injuries. When he's healthy, he's great. But All right, well, let's get into some news and injuries around the NFL. Commish, what do you got for us?
Matt Forte suffered a high ankle sprain Thursday night, so you got to look for him to be out 2 to 6 weeks. Michael Bush will carry the load while he's out, and recently signed Khalil Bell.
Yeah, they're also working out former Texan Steve Slayton, so it looks like you might have to worry if you're a Matt Forte owner.
Former West Virginia player.
Okay, well, Deshaun Jackson has a hamstring injury. Jeremy Maclin has a hip pointer. Both are questionable for today's game. If both of them are out, they're going to be forced to play Swoosh the mascot and one of the Angry Birds. But they're saying Macklin's got a chance to play. We did get an update before the show started. Jackson will play. So it is the Ravens D. Have your expectations in order. But, they're both going to be out there, I think.
Absolutely. Jonathan Stewart and Steve Smith of the Carolina Panthers both listed as questionable today. Smith suffered a knee injury last week versus the Bucks. Stewart has been nursing that ankle. Both did practice Friday, so there's a good shot they both play today.
Okay, well, the Jets have ruled out Darrell Revis and Dustin Keller. Revis had a concussion. Keller's dealing with a hamstring injury. Keller should be the guy we care about on a fantasy football show, but let me tell you, number one wide receivers on the Jets schedule are all a little happier today at the prospect of avoiding Revis Island.
Absolutely. We got Antonio Gates and Ryan Matthews, both familiar to this injury report. Both
Did they ever come off of this
I know,
report?
it's insane.
Yeah.
Gates nursing the sore ribs, while Matthews, of course, he's coming off the broken clavicle. I look for Gates to play. Matthews, I target him for probably next week.
Yeah, Matthews isn't back. He might be a guy to go trade for now, though. I think owners might be getting a nitchy trigger finger on him. Pierre Garcon, as we mentioned, is going to be a game-time decision today. That decision is probably going to be no. Aldrick Robinson was fine in relief last week. He's not a bad pickup, and he's a big target. So not a bad play if you need some Garcon help and you don't have Brandon LaFell and Brandon Lloyd to choose from.
And former teammate of Garcon, Austin Collie, listed as doubtful today versus the Vikings. Still not cleared after his long bouts for these concussions. He seems to get every game.
Yeah, Colley's a guy you got to at least see him play once. You don't worry about missing his first week back. Don't bank on him at all until you see him on the field and doing well.
All right, sounds good. So news and injuries are brought to you by Distinctive Car Toys. You can find them on the web at Distinctive Car Toys. That's with a Z, Car Toys with a Z, not an S, .com. Get your car fully customized at their Pleasantville location next to Kmart. Anything from a keyless remote start to a full car customization. Car Toys, most innovative car customizer in its class. All right, guys, before we go any farther, Commish, I know you had some issues in a league there, and so we had to bring in our good friend, the fantasy judge, Mike Stein, to help you with a little dispute you got going on. Mike, welcome to the show.
Morning, fellas. How are you?
Great, Mike. Thanks for joining us here this morning on the Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Mike, actually, one of our subscribers has the first league dispute of the year for us, and we brought you on. Hopefully, you could help us out. It has to do with the Green Bay Packers punter, Tim Mestay. They lined up for a field goal, as you know, Thursday night. He did a shuttle pass to Crabtree. They score a touchdown. The commissioner in the Showboat Fantasy Football League is not awarded our subscriber, Team Monsters, any points for this play. He says that it's an offensive play and not a special teams play. So he's not awarding him any points. Now, we forwarded you all the league rules for you to and all the facts of this case, and we're hoping you could help settle this dispute.
Absolutely. This is probably one of the more interesting disputes I've come across because it could really go either way. But let me walk you through my ruling first. I do have a copy of the league rules, and first and foremost, Fantasy Judgment always advocates a league having their rules written in a document so that every team in the league has access to see them, and there's no question as to what the meaning behind or what the rules actually are.
Sure.
So when I looked at this league's rules, they do have some delineations for special teams points and touchdowns. And interestingly, there is no indication of a fake field goal or a fake punt for a touchdown as being a special teams value or category that has points. So the first thought on this is the commissioner is correct that no points should be awarded because there is nothing in the rules that indicates you get points for a fake field goal or a fake touchdown.
Wow.
That's the easy answer.
Right.
That's the easy answer. What we do with Fantasy Judgment, we look a little bit deeper. And, you know, the one thing as a commissioner of a league myself, and as you, Henry, as the commissioner of a league, and any other person out there who's a commissioner of a fantasy league, we all do a very thankless job. We put in a lot of time and a lot of hard work into organizing our leagues and making up the rules.
That's a truth.
But the one thing that is very consistent, no matter what we do, we cannot always foresee every possibility that will come up. So clearly this league hasn't had an issue where there was a fake field goal or a fake punt for a touchdown.
Sure.
Otherwise, it's very likely that would have been included because just by the very definition, according to the NFL and anyone who watches football, you know that a field goal or a punt is handled by the special teams unit on the pro teams.
Right.
So the Packers were lined up for a field goal. That was their special teams unit. And the fact that it was a fake should have been a special teams touchdown. It is not an offensive play. It is obviously not a defensive play. It is the true meaning of a special teams.
Right.
So had this come up before, I think the commissioner of the league would have included these points as being a special teams value. That being said,
yes,
we can't assume anything.
Okay.
We have to look at what the intent behind the rules are. I can only make assumptions. I don't know for a fact. I haven't spoken to the commissioner of this league.
Okay.
So given that, I'm willing to assume that he would have intended this to be included.
Mike, Mike, 1 second. I hate to interrupt you because on the phone right now is the commissioner of that league who would like to weigh in on what you're saying right now.
Wow. Okay, this is going to get good.
All right, let's
bring him in
and let's see what he has to say.
I wish we had some people's court music
Oh,
here.
man, this is great. This is great.
All right, welcome to the show.
Well, is this Kurt from the Showboat Fantasy Football League?
Commissioner Henri, how are you?
Oh, very good, Mr. Miller, sir. Thank you for joining us. We have Mike Stein here, along with FantasyJudgment.com. We, one of your league members, Macero's Monsters, brought the a dispute up. We thought Mike would help us out with help settling it, and I'm glad you called in.
Well, I was listening, and obviously, he agrees with me.
And
we're only halfway through the presentation of facts here. I think there's a couple more.
So do you agree with the commission and he's got it and it's over?
My final ruling after all of that, I would have to say that the commissioner is correct because I do not advise changing the rules mid-season. The rules are as they are, and they're written according. I mean, they're dated 2010 from what I can see, so they haven't changed in 2 years. I would suggest that the commissioner issue an email to the entire league acknowledging that this was an oversight and that the rules will be amended for next year. But I would not recommend changing them right now because if you change a rule every time during the season something happened, then your rules are worthless. So my recommendation would be if the decision stands. It's unfortunate, no points awarded for the fake field goal, but going forward, you should include fake field goals and fake punts in the special teams categories for touchdowns.
I got a question for the commissioner. Did that change? Would that have changed the outcome of the game?
Well, it's this week. It was a Thursday, so we
it was the Thursday night game.
Yes.
Okay.
So we don't know yet if it would have affected it.
Okay.
Wow. So I can see why that's a big issue right now.
Change it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's good that you're weighing in before it becomes something that's going to affect the outcome. That's definitely a big bonus you're getting out of this, Kurt.
But in the rules, in my rules, it does say that fake field goals are scored offensively. Oh. And since his defense was not on the field at that time, it's not a defensive score. He thinks because it's a special team, it's a score. The special team has no meaning. The rules. My rules state your defense. You get a defensive score for a defensive touchdown, interception return, and things like that.
Well, and the biggest thing is you can rub it in his face that Mike from Fantasy Judgment, the judge, has sided with you and says that you know what, in this case, you are correct.
Yeah, and either way you go forward with it, Kurt, you either say it is a score or not a score for next year, but you make sure everybody knows going in so that everybody's on the same page.
Mike?
I assume that Mr. Massaro of the Monsters read his rules and would have realized that.
All right, Kurt.
Since I've been the commissioner in this league for 20 years,
sure,
and there's never been a beef on any type of. We all know what a defensive score is, and that a fake field goal is a offensive score.
We got you. Right. We got to get going, but we appreciate
Kurt,
the call.
Thanks for weighing in. We really appreciate you.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
Great stuff.
All right.
Great stuff.
And thanks, Mike, for coming on and helping our subscribers out with this. And, wow, I have to say, not the way I thought he would go, but that shows you where he's very fair with it. All right, I want to remind everyone that if you subscribe at kickassfantasyfootball.com, you get one free judgment from Mike at fantasyjudgment.com, or visit fantasyjudgment.com directly. Mike, how much do you charge again? Oh, I think
it's $15. It's normally $15 for a single case, but our best deal is $100. You get our services unlimited during the entire season, which means you can send us every single trade you have. If you have 10 questions a week, you can send them all to us. We'll help you out throughout the entire season.
All right, we appreciate it, Mike. Thanks for being on.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, and when we come back, we're going to open up the phone lines at 609-573-3776. We're going to give you a last-minute lineup that for all the help that you need. You're listening to the Piccalillian Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Don't let your fantasy issues become a reality. Fantasy Judgment is the premier dispute resolution service for all fantasy sports leagues. Led by attorney Michael Stein, the Supreme Court of Fantasy Judgment will resolve any and all issues or conflicts that arise in fantasy leagues. This includes disputed trades, collusion, abuse of power by league commissioners, lineup and roster errors, draft issues, score discrepancies, and interpretation of league rules. We alleviate the burden for league commissioners and allow everyone to focus on winning their leagues rather than arguing over disputes. Visit www.fantasyjudgment.com.
We're famous for our buffalo wings.
The Piccalilli.
When it comes to cooking wings, we're the king.
The Piccalilli.
Pull up a chair, grab a table, enjoy the atmosphere. Have something good to eat or have yourself a round of cheer.
If you can't stop in, stop back.
Great food, great drinks where everybody is a friend.
If you can't stop in, stop back.
The Piccalillian.
It isn't fall without the famous Piccalilli Inn. Catch all of your favorite football action at the Piccalilli Inn. Check out the Pick's brand new menu featuring homemade buffalo chicken egg rolls, buffalo shrimp, scallops, and the tender Pick burger. They go great with one of the Pick's ice-cold on-tap beers. Catch every football game at the Pick. Enjoy an awesome meal while you watch your favorite team. The Piccalilli Inn, a Jersey tradition since the 1920s. On Route 206 in Chemong. If you can't stop in, stop back.
The Piccalilli Inn.
I'm sexy and I know it.
Car Toys, the most innovative car customizing shop in its class. Summer is here, and so's the heat. Better get that remote start so you can cool off in your car in style with your smartphone. Car Toys can install remote start in Mercedes-Benz, push-button start, and stick shift. Reduce that glare with the best 3M window film. And while you're at it, get your car detailed by Car Toys Detail Department so your ride looks, feels, and smells brand new. Car Toys defines what everything for your car really means, from TV to reality. That's why Car Toys is the leader in the industry in car customization. Car Toys' knowledgeable team are the best in their class. Like Car Toys on Facebook and check them out at distinctivecartoys.com.
And welcome back to the Piccalillian Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Our phone lines are open. If you guys need any help from our experts, the number is 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776. Hey, kickoff is just a couple hours away. You have those last-minute injuries and lineups you need help plugging them in, give us a call. We'll help you out. All right, guys, it is time for my favorite segment. It's Dude, I'm Sorry. This is where we take the shellacking and admit who we messed up on. Professor, who are you sorry for?
Well, the Detroit Lions were not kind to me last week. Kellen Williams was a reach, no surprise there, but I told you all to start Titus Young. He posted just one catch for just 14 yards, and for that, dudes, I'm just sorry.
Marvin! You have it on Marvin!
You should be sorry for that. No, I'll tell you what, Matt, I'm sorry for telling everyone to start D'Angelo Williams last week. Here I'm thinking no Jonathan Stewart. He should be he should lead to a bigger day for Williams. It ends up a smaller day. He ends up with -1 yards rushing on 6 attempts. Only 2 of his 6 rushing attempts gained positive yardage. Easily the biggest bust of week 1 for this. Dude, I'm sorry.
I think you got outplayed by a DNP. It did not play.
Yeah.
It did better than your -1.
That's the truth.
All right, well, we now flip it around, and we got to pat ourselves on the back a little bit and tell everyone, who are we the man about? Commish, who are you the man about?
I am the man, though, because I also told you to start guys like Lance Moore with 6 catches for 120 yards and a touchdown as he was targeted 10 times. Kobe Fleener, 6 catches, 83 yards on 10 targets. And finally, Blaine Gabbert. In my reach of the week, he throws for 260 yards and 2 touchdowns. All these guys put up great fantasy numbers, and all were not very obvious choices to be starters. Yes, I'm the man.
I am smart. I am smart. S-M-R-T. I mean S-M-A-R-T.
All right, Professor, what do you got for us?
I'm glad you went wholesale there and put them all out there.
Not just one. He had to name every guy he gets right.
Well, we got a call last week, and the commish killed me because I said I liked Reggie Wayne over Wes Welker. The caller said, "Oh, that's why I love you, commish." Matt asked me point blank, "You seriously like Reggie Wayne over Wes Welker?" And that is now my Matt Lowry ringtone on my phone. I had a 2-word response from Matt. I do. Reggie Wayne, 135 yards. Wes Welker, 14. Yes, I am the man.
And I have to say, I love the I'm the man was not only I'm the man, but let me put everyone else down while I am the man.
Yeah.
I mean, that was great.
Yeah.
He pulled no punches.
All right. All right. It is time to get into our Piccalilli Picks of the Week. Hey, you know that you have to start Tom Brady and Ray Rice. We dig a little deeper to help you find the guys who have a chance to shine in Week 2. So these guys are a little farther down the list. And I want to remind everyone, if you have anyone you needed help plugging in, give us a call, 609-573-3776. All right, Commissioner, why don't you lead us out with the Piccalilli Picks of the Week at quarterback?
You got him, Matt. I got Fitzpatrick. Plays Kansas City, who gave up 299 yards to Matt Ryan last week and 3 touchdowns through the air, 1 on the ground. I love him to have a big game today.
Yeah, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Matt Ryan, they've just got the Ryan in common.
Yes.
I don't know
with it. His name's Ryan Stardom.
I've got Eli Manning up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs had a terrible pass D last year. They're a little bit better, but it's still not a tough matchup for Eli and his passing offense. Manning and the Giants need this win. I think they get it.
How about Matt Schaub will have a big play opportunity this week as he faces the Jags, as the run game will set up play action pass down the field to Andre Johnson.
Okay, well, you got Ryan in your first pick. I got Matt in the other one in this game. Matt Castle going the other way against the Bills. You know what? If Mark Sanchez could look good against the Bills, anyone can look good against the Bills.
How about Andrew Luck? I'm going with him again this week. He faces a Minnesota defense who gave up the 13th most passing yards last week. I like him to have a good day passing and at least 2 touchdowns.
I wish I had written all this stuff that we said about Matt Ryan because he's my last guy. I've got Matt Ryan up against the Broncos. You know what? There's a lot of potential for a shootout in this game. The Broncos' pass rush is solid, but their coverage team is below average. So Ryan is moving into the elite ranks. I think this is probably the last time I get away with using Matt Ryan as a pick of the week. I think he moves
I
into
was just
elite.
going to say, really, we're
he was drafted about quarterback 8.
You're right.
I get a little bit of latitude. I couldn't use Cam Newton, who was the guy I would like to use here. He is elite, so Matt Ryan.
Okay, you know what? But I have to say, if he does perform again this week, no, you can't pull out Matt Ryan anymore.
He's probably done if he's the top scorer again.
All right, now let's get into some tight ends. Who do we like at tight ends there, Professor?
Well, the Colts had a bad year last year on defense. They were bad last week against the tight end. Their linebackers are focused on Adrian Peterson this week, so Kyle Rudolph faces the Colts. Rudolph could be a bright spot in the sky, a bright red light on Christmas Eve.
Oh, how cute. How about Jacob Tam? He plays Atlanta this week. They gave up a touchdown last week to the tight end. I see another one for the tight end this week.
Okay, I could see that. Well, I've got Dennis Pitta playing the Eagles this week. Now, we're not in the Eagles always play the tight end facing them mentality yet. They've got better linebackers this year, but the wide receivers in this game should be blanketed by the Eagles' top-shelf cornerbacks, so Dennis Pitta should see a lot of targets.
How about Greg Olsen? He plays the Saints this week. I like him as a downfield threat for Cam this week, as they looked to him 3 times last week downfield, connected to him once for 24 yards.
And my bonus guy in this spot, I get tired of giving you 3 tight ends. Defense, Bengals play the Browns. Brandon Whedon, turnover machine.
I'm going to hold off.
Sneaks them in there, Matt. He sneaks them in there.
Kicker I was thinking of, man. No.
I got one last tight end. I got Scott Chandler. He was 12th among tight ends last week. He went 4 catches, 38 yards, and a touchdown on 6 targets. This week, Fitz will be looking for him in the end zone.
All right, before we move on, let's go to the phone lines. We got Tom. He wants to comment about the ruling that we just got from Fantasy Judgment. Tom, welcome to the show.
Morning, guys. Great show. I'm enjoying every second of this driving into work. It's a lot of fun.
All right, what do you got for us, Tom?
I would kick that guy out of the league. He's probably a Yankee Giants fan. How can he dare whine about that ruling? That is ridiculous. Don't invite him to the league next year.
Well, thank you, Tom, for your calm and centered comment on the.
Well, I'm sure he has
ruling.
Tom, I feel as though you're like holding back a little. You really let loose.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. We got Drew from Cape May County. Drew, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, I listen all the time. Hey, 2 quick questions. The first one is whether or not to play Big Ben or Mike Vick. Mike scares me a little bit, even as an Eagles fan. So I was wondering on that one. That's the first question. The second one is I had Morris from Washington on my team already, and I was wondering if I should just put him in this week and just see if Shanahan lets him play.
Yeah, I really like Morris this week. We're going to talk about him a little bit as we get down to our he's one of my picks of the week at running back. He's the hot hand for Shanahan right now, and I think you play him before he changes his mind.
Yeah, on the other question, I think you have to go with your stud here and play Michael Vick. Yeah, he's playing the Ravens, but Roethlisberger's playing the Jets. Their defense is no easy matchup either. So stick with Vick. He'll get some production, or he'll get his ribs broken. One or the other.
Well, isn't the Jets' main man?
Revis is out this week, so I'm actually going to disagree with
out. That's why I was thinking about playing Big Ben.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to disagree with the professor. I'm going to go with Big Ben here. You're playing against Baltimore, who shellacked us last time that we played in 2008. I like Big Ben here all the way. He's got all his weapons. Mike Wallace, Antonio Brown, and guess what? Emmanuel Sanders is there taking a ton of snaps. So
did you cite an 2008 game?
Yeah.
Are you going to bring up the game where they won in 1967?
Yeah, listen, it doesn't matter who's there. Next man up. Suggs is out. They got McClellan in there. They got Ray Lewis in the middle. Ed Reed at safety. It's a tough day for Vic.
Yeah. Back when they were the Pittman Maroons, they beat the Eagles. And
all right, Drew. Thanks for the call. And go ahead. Did you have something else?
No, now I'm still confused.
Yeah, Big Ben, man. Go Big Ben.
I'll let the commission have that one. It's a toss-up, but I do like Vic a little bit better.
I currently have Big Ben in there. It's just even as an Eagles fan, I've never been a Vic fan, so it's kind of I take him, but because he is explosive at times. But,
sure.
Yeah.
I that kill him.
I question where his head's at after the comments after the game last week, how he let down his teammates. He's going against a tougher defense than last week, and Vic has Big Ben's home. He's against the Jets without Revis. It's really new.
I will say I am not saying really to you this time. You're not bringing this one back up next week if this is wrong. I'm staying out of this one, so you're not going to be able to trash us both.
I do have one last thing to say to Drew, and this is historical. As long as Andy Reid's been the coach, the Eagles play to the level of their opponent. So they played down to the Browns level last week. They could very easily play up to the Ravens level, and you get a surprise.
I'm getting all psychological and stuff on us. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. We
got some inner self this week.
We got Elliot from Delaware on the phone. Elliot, welcome to the show, man. What's your question?
Hey, good morning, fellas. First of all, I got two questions, but first I want to say, Commish, you are the man.
Thanks,
Reggie Wayne was way to go last week. Thank you for that.
I'd love to take the credit, but that was actually
that was the professor.
Yeah.
First question again this week. Do you think they're going to get Wes Welker into the game more, or Reggie Wayne still the way to go?
Well, since I was the crystal ball on that one last week, I'm going to go with I'm going to give you a little sneak preview in about 45 seconds. We're going to get into our wide receivers, and I got Brandon Lloyd versus the Cardinals as a pick of the week. So you know where I'm leaning there. I think that Wes Welker is minimized by the fact that they've got a running game, and a good one for the first time in a long time.
So you would say Reggie Wayne?
Well, I would say
second.
Yeah, I would say Reggie
Wayne. I had is Ahmad Bradshaw or Ben Jarvis Green Ellis this week.
Yeah, I love the law firm this week. I think they're going up against the defense that is going to be easily run on. I think he has a great game, and I think that's the way I would go.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with the commish there. The law firm's going to have a chance at a breakout game.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks for the call. All right, let's go back to the phones. We got Joe from Mays Landing on the phone. Joe, welcome to the show. What's your question?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Really need your advice here.
All right,
you got it.
Headed for a tough start to the season. 12-team PPR. I lost last week by a couple points because of Wes Welker, and then this week I lost Forte.
Oh, yeah. Man.
So I'm at a flex position where I have three guys available: Kyle Rudolph, Brandon LaFell, or Jonathan Dwyer.
Wow, LaFell is the play here. Love him this week. He could easily get you 70 catches, I think, for the year. He's targeted early and often, a lot more than last year in this offense. He's the guy lean with. Professor, what do you think?
I have to agree. I think that he's going to get a lot of targets. As much as I like Kyle Rudolph, Brandon LaFell is a better, more reliable target.
All right, there you go, Joe. Appreciate the call. And I want to remind everyone, if you got any of those last-minute lineups, give us a call, 609-573-ESPN. That's 609-573-3776, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. All right, guys, let's get back to our Pick-a-Lily picks of the week at wide receiver. Commish, who do you got for us?
I'm going to start off. We just talked about him, Brandon LaFell. He plays the Saints today. He was targeted deep last week on 5 targets. He hauled in 3 catches, 65 yards, and a touchdown. I look for a repeat performance today.
Well, I've got Demaryius Thomas of the Broncos playing the Falcons this week. Atlanta lost their top corner, Brent Grimes, a 2010 Pro Bowler. They're going to struggle to cover Thomas. Yes, I know Thomas is a little dinged up, but he's going to play. He's going to perform, and he will be Peyton Manning's top target once again.
How about Michael Crabtree versus the Detroit Lions? Last week he was targeted 9 times, caught 7 balls for 76 yards. He is what I call PPR gold. He's a wide receiver you can count on in a big time on big. You can count on him every week, especially
apparently
this week.
We're gonna
secondary.
we're gonna limit the some of these players get a limit on their snap count. We're gonna limit your syllable count.
Yes.
All right, what do you got, Professor?
I've got Brandon Lloyd. As I mentioned before, the Cardinals' D did well in Week 1, but Tom Brady is not a rookie quarterback like Russell Wilson. Lloyd is going to continue to get those targets. He's going to continue to perform.
How about Santonio Holmes versus the Steelers? It's his old team, and no Palomalu today. Looks good for him to have a decent game.
Well, I'm going to take the other side of that game. I got Antonio Brown playing against the Jets. Normally, wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole. He'd be the guy that would draw it down Rivas. Cromartie's going to be on Wallace, and they've got a mix and match covering Brown for this game. So I think he's a great play.
All right, sounds good. Let's get right into running backs. Lead us out there, Professor.
Well, I've got Chris Johnson versus the Chargers. He looked plain bad last week, but the Chargers D is not solid at all. Have a tough time playing CJ 0K, but I think he gets off the schneid this week.
I got Alfred Morris. I mentioned him earlier with a caller. He faces the Rams, who gave up the second most fantasy points to running backs last week.
Yeah, you got to be on bath salts to recommend a Redskins running back as a fantasy expert. That's crazy talk.
Nice.
I got Doug Martin. Giants let DeMarco run all over them last week. The Bucks want to feature Martin in the backfield, give him plenty of carries. This is as solid as it gets, folks.
I got the law firm facing Cleveland, who will be the saving grace for Andy Dalton today. I like him to get close to that century mark and a touchdown.
All right.
And my last guy, Trent Richardson, playing the Bengals this week. The Eagles were a tough way to start your career. Richardson is the only Browns running back who touched the football in Week 1. He'll have an easier time against the Bengals.
Last, I got Reggie Bush. He gets it done on the ground, and he gets it done catching the ball. And he's the only thing that Miami really has.
I love that pick.
All right. Wow. I actually gave a little compliment there, Professor.
Yeah, I actually had that as one of my picks until I saw the commissioner already had him.
All right.
Coffee didn't kick in, I guess.
All right. We got one more set of Piccalilli picks to go through. Everett, this week's starting bartender for the Piccalilli team, joins us on the line. Welcome back, Everett. How'd your fantasy team do last week?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Everett, good morning.
Hey.
How are you?
Great.
So how'd your team do last week, Everett?
Unfortunately, I had one of the worst opening weeks of the fantasy football season I could have hoped for.
Wow.
Okay. That I could have had, yeah. Two of the teams, my Toby Gerhardt gamble didn't pay off. I saw AP making cuts that I have never seen somebody within that short amount of time frame.
I feel your pain.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, and so any of the gambles, some of the gambles didn't pay off. But But then there was a couple games that came down to Monday night, and I was up, like 30, and all of a sudden Joe Flacco goes off the charts, Ray Rice, the whole Baltimore team, and the rest is history.
Well, at least your Redskins won. Yes. You got to be happy with that.
That was like the Super Bowl for me. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, Everett. Well, we had some interesting picks last week. Who do you have at quarterback for Week 2 for us?
For Week 2, I don't really know if it's that hard of a pick, start your starters, start your stars, that kind of thing. But I kind of feel bad for the Carolina Panthers.
I like Everett. I like Everett a lot.
I feel bad for the Carolina Panthers. I mean, Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints have to go off the charts this week. And I'm not saying your typical Drew Brees puts up points. I'm saying it's going to be one of those big days. Because that team, there's no way, they got embarrassed last week. They were in the Superdome. They lost to my team that I enjoy watching, the Washington Redskins, who, should have had no shot, apparently.
So if you have a Saint, you want to get them started
I feel like
this
it's going
week.
to be one of those big weeks.
Yeah, I think that's a good play. How about a running back?
For a running back, I'm going to go with a guy that, goes back and forth. It's boom or bust. I'm liking Jamal Charles against Buffalo this
Love
week.
that pick, Everett. Love him.
Yeah, that's a very good one. And how about at wide receiver, tight end?
And the wide receiver, I have to say, is a guy, again, a starter and a star, but he didn't produce last week. And that is one Wes Welker.
Ooh, a little
yeah.
Arguing with you there.
They all come in. They all want a piece. Okay, Everett, we need one more pick from you. What specials are on tap at the Piccalilli Inn for the games today?
Oh, we have a ton of specials. Again, like last week, we're running that 10-10-10 special. If you're coming to get takeout, it's 10 wings, tails, and ears for $25. But if
Love
you're
that.
coming in to eat, we have a great burger and wing combo. It's a 6-ounce burger and 6 wings with fries for $9.95.
Oh man, you
We
can't beat
also
that.
have a bunch of beer specials. $1.95 Coors Light, Bud and Bud Light pints, $5.95 pitchers, and $2.25 Bud and Bud Light bottles.
Those burgers
It's
are
the right
delicious,
place to
too.
be. I want to tell our audience the best place to watch Sunday football, no matter what team you follow, is the Piccalilli Inn on Route 206 in Chemung, New Jersey. World-class wings, ice-cold beer, great menu, big screens everywhere. Come watch your NFL team with a fun crowd, tasty food, and hey, you can even chat fantasy football with Everett. Everett, thank you so much for being on with us today.
No problem, guys. Thanks for having me.
All right, man. We'll talk to you next week.
All right. And again, that was Everett. He'll be with us every week. He with his Piccalilli Picks of the Week. But let's go to the phone lines now. We got some more questions. We got Jim from Delaware on the phone. Jim, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys, what's happening?
How's it going? What do you got for us?
Hey, real quick, 2 quick ones. I know it's kind of 6 of one, half a dozen another, but Joel Dressen or Ed Dixon at tight end?
I'll tell you what, I really like Ed Dixon. I know the professor here likes Pitta, and he was a big waiver wire pickup, but Ed Dixon is the number 1 tight end there. And guess what? One weakness the Eagles have, it's the tight end. You can pass. The tight end always does well against the Eagles. I like Dixon today a lot.
Yeah, you know, my grandfather used to say 6 of one, a dozen of the other. And I was like, I don't think you're getting that. And I think you have that case here. I think Joel Dreesen is your dozen. I think Ed Dixon is your half dozen. So I go with Joel Dreesen.
Oh, okay.
All right.
And, well, how about Flacco or Roethlisberger?
Flacco.
Wow.
Flacco?
Flacco over Roethlisberger? Is that what you said?
He didn't even hesitate. He did.
Wow.
He did.
I'm going to go Big Ben, man. Big Ben has no Revis, and Flacco has to face Namdi and Cromartie, man.
I still think
That's
Flacco
what I was thinking, too.
outpoints him.
I'm a diehard Raven and Redskin fan, but I was thinking Big Ben over Joe.
Yeah, Big Ben's, I think, is the easier play.
Let me tell you, I see the look in the professor's face. He's going, this is going to be my I'm the man for next week.
I'm already writing material, Jim. Thank you. The commish is not going to have a happy week. Now, I think that Flacco's a great play right now until proven otherwise. He's a good start.
All right.
Going with the hot hand.
Okay. All right. No one can blame you there, Jim. All right. Thanks for the call. Let's go back to the phone lines. We got James from Sea Isle City on the phone. James, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, guys. How's it going?
All right. What do you got for us?
So I got Jeremy Macklin, who's questionable, with Randy Moss and Ogletree on my bench.
Wow.
What do you think?
Well, if Macklin plays, I think he's definitely the guy you want to get in there. The Ravens secondary, other than Ed Reed, is going to be a little bit in question. If he does not go, I'd probably look really hard at Ogletree.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with the commish here. If Macklin's a go, you go with him. Ogletree is, after being the waiver wire darling, is kind of fallen off everybody's radar later in the week. Randy Moss, they're still playing a tough defense in the Lions, so go with Ogletree.
All right.
Outstanding.
All right, James, thanks for the question. Let's go back to the phones. We got Mike from Manahawkin on the phone. Mike, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys, thanks.
All right, what do you got for us?
Quick question. I'm a flex player. I'm in a PPR league. Macklin is who I normally start here, but he's got the hip, so
sure.
I could start Alfred Morris. I generally in this league would rather start a receiver than a running back, but because his distance, touchdowns, and all that stuff. But what would you guys do?
Morris or Macklin?
Yeah, I mean, if Macklin's playing, I think you plug him in here. Morris does have a great matchup, but if you're saying receivers are valued more than the running back, you got to go with Macklin if he plays.
As much as I think that it's the bath salts pick of the week to play Alfred Morris, I think that you have to go with him over Macklin just on the possibility that Macklin is beat up and has a brutal matchup.
All right. Thanks for the call, Mike.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot. Let's go back to the phones. We got Joe from Galloway on the phone. Joe, welcome to the show.
Oh, well, good morning, guys.
Morning.
I took a big hit last week, and I lost Fred Jackson, one of my starting running backs.
I feel your pain, man. I got him. I know what you're going through.
And then I lost Matt Forte.
Oh, double whammy.
Yeah.
All right.
Double whammy. So and now here's my other problem. I had to plug Mark Ingram in there.
Sure.
I had plugged him in there, play for Fred Jackson, but now I don't even know what's going on with Deshaun Jackson.
He's going to play. He is playing.
You know, it's a beautiful day to play some golf, Joe.
My son has a football game right now. He plays Pee-wee in Galloway, so I'm going to that.
Okay.
And then my daughter plays softball. She's got a doubleheader, so I'm going to go to that.
There you go.
I can't
Stay away from the TV today.
Because it's just going to kill me.
Yeah.
The couple callers before, the guy said he was a diehard Redskin and Ravens fan.
Right.
That's like being a Giant and a Jets fan and a Yankee and a Met fan. You can't root for both teams.
You know what? I'm an Eagles fan, but I do like the Raiders or the Ravens an awful lot. So you can have a second.
I'm sitting next to one of them here, Joe.
I'm not saying
I know
you
what you
can't
mean.
have a second team. I mean, you have you're in a different geographical area there. It's like if
Sure.
I'm a big Steelers fan, but I root for the Eagles as well. I mean,
there you go.
There you go.
But to root for two teams that are 3 miles apart.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a friend growing up. He had 4 different teams, and when the Eagles and the 49ers play each other, he'd be rooting for Jerry Rice to catch a long bomb. Then he'd be rooting Eric Allen to try to tackle him.
Well, he had multiple personalities, and each of them got their own time.
Sure he had several personalities.
Yeah.
Hey, but the one thing you can take is Deshaun Jackson is playing today, so at least you got one of them back there.
Yes, I mean, there's nothing on my waiver wire. I try to pick up Alfred Morris.
No, not when you have that many injuries.
And there's nobody on my waiver wire, so it's like I'm
Dexter McCluster,
and my
Joe.
wife's in a dilemma because she had Isaac Redmond. It looks like he's not the starter anymore. She picked up Roy Halou and put him in there. She's playing Jonathan Stewart, so I think she's taking a better risk than playing Roy Halou.
Right.
Well, Joe, we wish you luck. I think that Dexter McCluster might be a guy that you can find on your waiver wire. Take a look at him.
You got to continue to monitor that waiver wire board. Injuries come up every week in the NFL, and it will get better, I promise.
All right.
And go out to our website, kickassfantasyfootball.com. I put up the waiver wire article, and if that doesn't work for you, Wednesday, the commission puts up the trading article. So we'll get you all fixed up.
Yeah.
There you go.
We'll get you straight.
When we come back, we're going to keep the phone lines going. Call us if you need any last-minute lineup help. We'll also get into our reaches of the week, and we still have our studs, duds, and sleepers. You're listening to the Piccalilli Inn Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show.
We're famous for our buffalo wings.
The Piccalilli.
When it comes to cooking wings, we're the king.
The Piccalilli.
Pull up a chair, grab a table, enjoy the atmosphere. Have something good to eat or have yourself around
If
here.
you can't stop in, stop back.
Great food, great drinks where everybody is a friend.
If you can't stop in, stop back.
The Piccalilli Inn.
It isn't fall without the famous Piccalilli Inn. Catch all of your favorite football action at the Piccalilli Inn. Check out the Pick's brand new menu featuring homemade buffalo chicken egg rolls, buffalo shrimp, scallops, and the tender Pick Burger. They go great with one of the Pick's ice-cold on-tap beers. Catch every football game at the Pick. Enjoy an awesome meal while you watch your favorite team. The Piccalilli Inn, a Jersey tradition since the 1920s. On Route 206 in Chemong. If you can't stop in, stop back.
The Piccalilli Inn.
Now is your chance to experience the new game that's transforming fantasy sports. Fantasy Player Exchange is a new daily game that allows you to compete against friends and fantasy foes for cash prizes. With FPX, you can select 5 players from any active sport. Sign up now at fantasyplayerexchange.com for your chance to beat ESPN Radio's Henry the Commish Brick and win $1,000 cash. Go to fantasyplayerexchange.com to sign up and play today. Remember, that's fantasyplayerexchange.com.
I'm sexy and I know.
Car Toys, the most innovative car customizing shop in its class. Summer is here, and so's the heat. Better get that remote start so you can cool off in your car in style with your smartphone. Car Toys can install remote start on Mercedes-Benz, push-button start, and stick shift. Reduce that glare with the best 3M window film. And while you're at it, get your car detailed by Car Toys Detail Department so your ride looks, feels, and smells brand new. Car Toys defines what everything for your car really means, from TV to reality. That's why Car Toys is the leader in the industry in car customization. Car Toys' knowledgeable team are the best in their class. Like Car Toys on Facebook and check them out at distinctivecartoys.com.
Welcome back to the Pick-a-Lillian Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. Hey, if you got any last-minute lineup questions, you can give us a call, 609-573-3776. We got just a couple minutes left. But more importantly, you can always check out all this information on our website. It's www.kickassfantasyfootball.com to help you get your lineup set. Guys, let's get into our Reaches of the Week, brought to you by the FantasyPlayerExchange.com. Play daily multi-sports fantasy against your friends for as little as $2 by picking 5 players of any sport and compete for cash at FantasyPlayerExchange.com. All right, let's get into our Reaches of the Week. Professor, who do you got for us?
Well, I'm hiding D'Angelo Williams in the reach section. He was an embarrassment last week. The Saints, however, are a defense that is messed up. So they let a guy named Alfred rip through him in week 1. If anything screams fluke, like a guy like D'Angelo Williams getting stuffed, that's a fluke. If you need to give D. Will one more chance, he could turn it around this week for you.
How about Andre Roberts, Arizona wide receiver? He faces the Pats. Last week, Roberts made it clear to me that he's a number 2 wide receiver for the Cardinals. He played 83% of the snaps last week. He also was targeted 9 times, caught 5 balls for 54 yards. This week, the Pats Belichick will look to take out Fitz, which could give Roberts a 10-plus target day. The only reason why he is a reach is Kevin Gubb.
All right, Professor, why don't you give us another one of your Reaches of the Week?
Okay, well, when is a top 10 talent a reach? When he's coming off a suspension. The commission and I disagree on Kenny Britt, but he's back. He's healthy. If you have Kenny Britt, you need an upside play, and your other choices are dinged up like Deshaun Jackson or just average like Danny Amendola. Get Kenny Britt in your lineup. That's a sneaky play.
All right, and now I got Emmanuel Sanders, wide receiver from the Pittsburgh Steelers, playing in most 3 wide receiver sets last week, which is 60 of 81 plays. Sanders was in the same amount of time as Antonio Brown. With Revis out and a sad Pittsburgh running game, he is a great reach this week if you need him.
Yeah, you know what? With Revis out, they are really thin at defensive back, so I would not be surprised to see the Steelers run a lot of 3 wide receiver.
Okay, and Commish, it is time to talk a little bit about your Fantasy Player Exchange Beat the Commish competition. Man, and boy, did everybody beat the Commish. We got Gary on the phone with us. Gary, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Gary, I got crushed last week. Tell us about who won.
Well, yeah, last week I saw the stats and I just couldn't believe it. One of our guys named his team's named Levitch. He ended up winning. He had some pretty good picks last week. He went for Brandon Marshall, who had a great game. Arian Foster, which you could never beat. And apparently he must be a Bears fan because he threw in a little Cutler and Forte and finished up with Breeze, who wasn't great but was good enough. But your team just didn't do it last week.
Well, Gary, like I told these guys, I was just laying back a little, get everybody sucked in. This week, it's a whole different story.
If you want, I believe I came in 4th in that, Gary. If you want, in the future, we can have a Beat the Fantasy Insider, because obviously one of us is a bit better at the other.
Well, you can't really do great when 2 out of your 5 picks end up going negative for the week. I mean, Russell Wilson and Michael Vick were not the greatest choices last week, but maybe this week they'll be better.
Absolutely. I know they will be better this week. I'm ready. I'm prepared. And I'm ready to take all comers, Gar. All comers.
All right.
Well, that's why I got a little challenge for you guys this week.
Ooh.
I want to take you on head-to-head, Commission. Here's the bet. Okay? You can pick any team you want. I'm going to play head-to-head with you, and I'm picking just punters.
Really? I go against you and a team of punters? Done deal.
Ooh. You know what? I'm in. I'm going to put up my team of field goal kickers, and we'll all get to beat the Commission.
You know what? After I saw your results from week 1, my money's on Gary wins with this team.
All right, Gary. Now, if I beat you, I'm expecting my favorite case of frosty beverage, and if you beat me, I'll do the same. How's that?
Not only that, if you beat me next week, I will double first prize for the Beat the Commish game.
What? Wow. Nice.
That's safe money there. He
strong.
knows he's not going to have to pay.
That is strong. That is strong. Okay.
All right.
You got yourself a challenge there, buddy.
Now, Gary, if our listeners want to go and take a shot at beating the Commish, which, at least according to week 1 stats, is not hard to do.
Listen, this week ain't happening.
How do you do it?
Ain't happening.
Where do you go? What do you do?
Yep, all you have to do is go to FantasyPlayerExchange.com. You can sign up for an account. It's free to sign up. The Beat the Commish game is just $2. First prize each week is $50. Although if he beats me this week, next week it's going to be $100. and then whoever ends up beating him the most over the whole season for 1 week's victory will end up winning $1,000.
Nice, $1,000 to beat the commish. That's nice.
That's money in the bank because
Listen,
he's just
I
not
don't think
very
it's
good at
it's
it.
going to be that easy, but okay.
You never know. It's easy to do. You could put together a team in less than 5 minutes, and as I'm going to prove this week, even a team of punters could win.
Even a team of punters. Wow. All right.
Okay.
I'll be
All right.
interested to see that. That's going to be great. And again, you could check that out. It's FPX Fantasy Player Exchange. You can find the link on our website, kickassfantasyfootball.com. Great stuff. Gary, thanks for coming on the show, and we will see next week who the winner is.
I look forward to beating you this week, buddy.
Oh, yeah, that's what you think.
All right. Thanks, Gary. All right, let's go to the phone lines. We got time for one more question. We got Eugene from Buno on the phone. Eugene, welcome to the show.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hey, always good, Eugene.
I'm trying not to burn the bacon this morning.
All right.
Look at here. Between Welker and Lance, should I go with Welker?
And Lance Moore,
Lance
guess
Moore.
what? I like Lance Moore. I think Breeze lights him up this week against Carolina. We talked about that a little earlier in the show. Welker seems to be belittled a bit by Brandon Lloyd. What do you think, Professor?
Yeah, I have to agree with you there, Commish. I do think that Lance Moore is a very solid play, and Welker is becoming a smaller part of that offense.
All right.
Would D. Jackson and Gates be playing today?
Gates has sore ribs, but looks like will play. And Deshaun Jackson.
No, V-Jax.
Oh, V-Jax. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, V-Jax is playing.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
V-Jax is definitely playing.
Oh, okay. All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Eugene. Good luck today, man.
Okay, guys, it's time to get into our studs, duds, and sleepers for week 2. Commish, lead us out. What do you got for us? Who are your studs of the week?
Stud of the week, Arian Foster will be pounding the ball all day against Jacksonville.
Is that actually a stud? I mean,
yeah, that's
you studs the place where you're allowed to go with that because I went with Julio Jones up against the Broncos. He's an elite player now, no question about it. I think this is a passing offense, and we will be amazed by Julio Jones' performance at the end of this year.
We have him, don't we, Matt?
Yes, we have.
You traded him away for two guys who are both injured now.
Yeah, kind of worked out.
You got him.
Once again, the trade master has struck.
You did well there. All right, who is your dud of the week, Commish?
My dud of the week is going to unfortunately be Mr. Stephen Ridley. He faces the Arizona defense. I don't think he gets to 80 yards, and I don't think he finds the end zone.
I don't know if I agree with that one, but I'm pretty sure you're going to disagree with this one. My dud of the week, a fella named Bob Griffin playing the Rams. Bob had a huge day last week, but it was against a team with an O-line coach filling in for their head coach, missing a lot of their D players. This week, Bob faces the much stouter Rams D, coached by Jeff Fisher. Bob may do fine, but he's got to prove it against a real defense.
Wow. The thing is, I don't think the Rams are a real defense, but okay.
Jeff Fisher, they looked great against the Lions last week.
I love Jeff Fisher, but I think RG3 gets it done.
All right. Well, then who?
Just Bob till he does.
Just Bob.
Bob.
All right. What do you got for? Who is your sleeper of the week, Commish?
My sleeper of the week is wide receiver Andrew Hawkins. He led his team in receiving last week with 9 targets, catching 8 balls for 86 yards. This week he faces the Browns secondary that will be extremely weak without Joe Hayden.
Well, my sleeper, if you play in a PPR league, you must start Dexter McCluster. He led the Chiefs in targets last week, led them in targets in the preseason. You know, I'm sure it's tough for our listeners to contemplate starting the number 3 wide receiver for the Chiefs, but it's real. If your league is not PPR, he's still an interesting player at flex.
All right, sounds good. We got just a few seconds left, and I got to ask you guys, after 2 weeks, when is the time to start panicking about Aaron Rodgers? Let's face it, when you drafted him, you took him in the first 5 picks, and he hasn't been putting up first 5 pick numbers.
You don't panic with Aaron Rodgers.
No, I agree.
Unless you want to trade with me, in which case you should be panicking.
Yes. I mean, let's face it. Before last season, with the 45 touchdowns, he was a 31 touchdown a year guy. Everyone forgets that. Those numbers were inhuman last year, but he still gets over 30 touchdowns, no problem.
Well, you know what? Before we go, I have one little nugget to share with our Eagles fans out there. Eagles have lost their last 3 home openers. The team they lost to has gone on to win the Super Bowl in each of those years. So cross your fingers they don't make it 4 in a row.
All right, thanks for listening to the Pick-a-Lillian Kick-Ass Fantasy Football Show. I want to thank our experts, the Commish, Henry Brick, and the Professor, Steve Wynn, and our kick-ass producer, Scott Ewing. I'm your host, Matt Lowry, and I want to remind everyone you can check out our website, get all this information, www.kickassfantasyfootball.com. fantasyfootball.com. And I want to remind you, if you're not playing fantasy football, you're probably spending too much time watching Here Comes Honey Boo Boo. See you next week right here on 97.3 ESPN.